So this happened last week and I'm still processing everything. My hands are literally shaking as I type this shit out. I've been with Emma for 6 years, married for 4. We met rock climbing at this outdoor event my buddy dragged me to. She was funny, smart, beautiful, everything I thought I wanted. Fast forward to now, and I can't even look at her without wanting to throw up. I work in tech sales. Nothing crazy, but it pays well enough for us to have a decent house in a nice neighborhood. My job has me traveling maybe once a month for a few days. Last week I was supposed to be in Denver until Friday for this big client meeting, but it got canceled Thursday morning. I decided to surprise Emma by coming home early. I got home around 2 p.m., pulled into the driveway, and noticed our neighbor James's car parked down the street. Weird, but whatever. James and his wife Mel moved in about a year ago, and we've done a few BBQs together, nothing major. Emma always said she thought he was kinda douchey, but apparently that was a fucking lie. I used my key to get in quietly, wasn't trying to scare her, just wanted to surprise her, and heard voices from upstairs in our bedroom. I froze when I heard Emma laugh. Not her normal laugh, but this weird flirty giggle I'd never heard before. I slowly walked closer to the stairs, and that's when I heard it. Emma was talking about me. She said I was too stupid to suspect anything, that the sleeping pills were already in my tea. Once I crash, it'll look like I fell asleep at the wheel. I literally couldn't move. Then she said something even worse. If that doesn't work, they'll stage a robbery next week. I recognized James's voice when he answered her. My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. My wife of 4 years was casually discussing murdering me with our fucking neighbor. I didn't stick around to hear more. I quietly left, got in my car, and just drove around the block a few times trying to calm down. I called my dad. He's always been my go-to when shit hits the fan. I told him everything and he just went quiet for like a full minute. Then he said to act normal, gather evidence, and get out ASAP. Best advice he could have given me. So I drove back home, parked in the driveway, and made sure to slam my car door loud enough. I called out, "Honey, I'm home early," as I walked in. James's car was gone by then. Emma came down and acted surprised. Kissed me like nothing was wrong. I wanted to scream in her face, but somehow managed to smile and hug her. She made some bullshit excuse about having a headache and asked if I wanted some tea. I said no. I grabbed a beer from the fridge instead and didn't let it out of my sight. She kept watching me while pretending not to. I noticed the tea kettle was already on the counter. That night was the hardest thing I've ever done. Sleeping next to someone who literally just planned your murder. I pretended to fall asleep, but stayed awake most of the night. In the morning, I said I had to go into the office to catch up on work. Instead, I went to the bank and moved half our savings into a separate account, my name only. We had about $60K saved up for a down payment on a bigger house. I took $30K out. I also called our insurance company pretending I wanted to review our policies. Turns out Emma had increased my life insurance from $250K to $500K 3 months ago. Fucking bitch. I went to my parents' house after that. My mom cried when I told her. My dad called his buddy, who's a lawyer. By the end of the day, I had a plan. The next morning, I waited until Emma left for her yoga class. I packed all my important shit, documents, family photos, my grandpa's watch, and my gaming setup. I left her wedding ring on the kitchen table with a note that just said, "I heard everything. I know about the sleeping pills and the robbery plan. Lawyer will contact you." I crashed at my parents' house that night. Emma blew up my phone. 27 missed calls, like 50 texts. First, she acted confused. Then she tried to gaslight me, saying I was paranoid and imagining things. Then she started crying and begging me to come home so we could talk. James tried calling too. I blocked his number. That night I did something that probably wasn't smart, but I was so fucking angry. I drove by our house and saw Emma sitting on the porch steps crying while talking to someone on the phone. I pulled up and just stared at her. She ran to my car saying she could explain everything, that it was just a joke, that James was the one who came up with it. I rolled down the window just enough to hear her and said, "You're right about one thing. I was stupid. Stupid for trusting you." Then I rolled it back up and drove away while she screamed my name and banged on the car. My dad was pissed when I told him I did that. Said I shouldn't have any contact with her. The next day, I had my lawyer send her divorce papers and a copy of the insurance policy change with her signature on it. I also had him include a USB drive with audio files. Because guess what? After I found out, I installed a recording app on my phone and left it hidden in the house when I went to work that day after coming home. Caught her on the phone with James planning how they'd try again, saying I seemed suspicious and they needed a new plan. She's been calling nonstop since then. "Please, I didn't mean it. What are you doing to us?" James's wife, Mel, called me too yesterday, crying, asking what was going on. Turns out she had no idea her husband was planning to help murder someone. She came by my parents' house to talk and showed me their bank statements. James took out a 20K loan last month for no reason she could figure out. I'm meeting with the lawyer again tomorrow. Dad thinks we should go to the police, but I'm worried they'll just say it was all talk, no actual attempt yet. For now, I'm focused on getting Emma out of my life completely. This is just the beginning. I have more planned for both of them. Update 1. It's been a week since I moved out and things have somehow gotten even crazier. Emma's gone from "it was just a joke" to full-on breakdown mode. Yesterday, she showed up at my parents' house at 6 a.m. crying and banging on the door. My mom answered, I was still asleep, and Emma tried to push past her to get inside. My mom, who is this tiny 5'2" inches woman who usually wouldn't hurt a fly, literally shoved Emma back so hard she fell on her ass on the porch. Then my mom told her if she ever tried to come near me again, she'd regret it more than she already does, then slammed the door in her face. I've never seen my mom like this before. When I came downstairs, she was still shaking with anger. She made me promise to get a restraining order, which I'm working on. The day after I sent the divorce papers, I decided to go nuclear and called Emma's parents. We've always been close. They treated me like a son, and we go fishing with her dad like twice a year. I told them everything, played them the recordings. Her mom started sobbing. Her dad just went completely silent, then asked for copies of everything. 2 hours later, Emma called me screaming that I had no right to tell her parents, that I'd ruined her relationship with them. Apparently, they told her they were disgusted and needed time before they could even look at her again. Not gonna lie, that felt good. I've been staying off social media, but my buddy Chris texted that Emma's been posting all these vague, "there are two sides to every story, and people make mistakes" bullshit posts. She even had the nerve to change her profile pic to one of us from our anniversary trip last year. Fucking psycho. James has been trying different tactics. First, he sent this long text about how it was all just talk. They never would have gone through with it. Then he tried threatening me, saying if I told his wife more details or went to the police, he'd make me regret it. I forwarded that one to my lawyer. But here's where it gets interesting. My lawyer friend got curious about the timing of everything and did some digging. Turns out Emma and James have known each other way longer than a year. He found old Instagram posts from like 3 years ago where they were tagged at the same party. Emma told me they met when they moved in next door. This whole thing might have been planned from the beginning. Even more fucked up. Remember that 20K loan James took out? My buddy who works at a car dealership pulled some strings, probably not totally legal, but whatever, and found out James recently bought a used Audi A4 all cash, 18K. But the car isn't registered under his name or his wife's. It's under some LLC that was created 2 months ago. They were setting up their escape plan. Yesterday, I met with Mel, James's wife, again. She's been staying with her sister since finding out what a psycho her husband is. She brought more documents, bank statements, phone records, everything. Turns out James and Emma have been texting each other hundreds of times a month since they met a year ago. There are also these weird cash withdrawals from their account, 500 here, 800 there, totaling almost 6K over the past few months. She asked if I knew anything about a storage unit. Apparently, James has been paying for one for the past 3 months, but she never knew what was in it. We're gonna check it out tomorrow. I've been getting my shit together too. Changed all my passwords, set up credit monitoring, and documented everything. My boss has been surprisingly cool about me working remotely through all this. I even told him the whole story, and he immediately gave me 2 weeks of paid leave to figure things out. Said he'd rather have me take time now than be distracted and mess up any deals later. My dad came with me to the house yesterday to get the rest of my stuff. Emma wasn't supposed to be there. She texted saying she'd be at her friend's place all day. But of course she showed up halfway through us loading my car. She started crying again, begging me to just talk to her for 5 minutes. My dad stepped between us and told her to back off. She tried to get around him to reach me, and he blocked her again. She completely lost it, screaming that this was her house too, and she had every right to talk to her husband. Then she slapped my dad across the face. Big mistake. My dad didn't hit her back, but he grabbed her wrist and told her in this scary, calm voice that if she ever put her hands on him or me again, he would personally make sure she regretted it for the rest of her life. She turned white as a sheet. We finished getting my stuff while she sat in her car crying. After we left, she blew up my phone again, saying it wasn't what I thought, that she and James were just joking around, role-playing or some shit, that they never would have actually hurt me. Then she switched to saying I was ruining her life, that everyone was looking at her differently at work, that her boss had heard rumors and was treating her coldly. Well, no shit, Emma. Planning to murder someone tends to make people see you differently. The most bizarre thing happened last night, though. I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Emma's brother, Tim. We were never close. He always thought I wasn't good enough for his sister. The text just said we needed to talk. It was important. I called him and he sounded nervous as hell. He asked if I could meet him for a beer tonight, said there were things about Emma I needed to know that might explain some of this. I'm going to meet him in a public place with my dad nearby, just in case it's some kind of setup. But I'm curious what he could possibly say that would explain his sister planning to kill me. This nightmare keeps getting deeper. I'll update again after I meet with Tim and check out that storage unit with Mel. I have a feeling we're going to find something there that blows this whole thing wide open. Update 2. Shit just keeps getting weirder. I met with Emma's brother Tim like I mentioned in my last update. We met at this sports bar near my parents' place. My dad sat a few tables away just in case it was some kind of setup. Tim looked like he hadn't slept in days. Red eyes, unshaven, kept bouncing his leg under the table. He started by saying he was sorry about everything. Then he dropped a fucking bombshell. Apparently Emma has always been off. Like, as a kid, she would do seriously messed up things and then act completely normal after. He told me about how she poisoned their family dog when she was 12 because it tore up her favorite stuffed animal. Their parents covered it up, told everyone the dog ran away and got her into therapy. According to Tim, this wasn't even Emma's first plan. 3 years ago, she was engaged to some guy named Alex. Tim overheard her talking to a friend about taking out a life insurance policy on Alex and staging an accident on their honeymoon. He confronted her and she played it off as a joke, but then broke up with Alex 2 weeks later for some made-up reason. I asked Tim why the fuck he never warned me. He looked down at his beer and said he thought she was better, that the therapy and meds had fixed whatever was wrong with her. Plus, their parents had sworn him to secrecy about the incidents from her childhood. He only decided to tell me now because his parents finally admitted they'd been covering for Emma her whole life, and he couldn't live with the guilt anymore. On my way home from meeting Tim, Emma texted me a picture of an empty pill bottle with the message, "I can't live with what I've done." I immediately called 911 and gave them our address. Then, I called her parents. Her mom picked up crying, saying Emma had just called them too, saying goodbye. They were already on their way to the house. Part of me wanted to just ignore it. Like, why should I care if she hurts herself after she literally planned to murder me? But I'm not a monster. I called my buddy Chris, who lives near our old place, and asked him to drive by until the ambulance arrived. He texted me 20 minutes later saying the ambulance was there, but Emma was walking around talking to the EMTs looking totally fine. Turns out it was all bullshit. The EMTs found no evidence she'd taken anything. The pill bottle was just for show. Her parents arrived and her dad was livid. He actually yelled at her in front of everyone that she needed to stop the manipulation and face consequences for how once in her life. The cops told me later they almost took her in for filing a false report, but her parents convinced them they'd get her psychiatric help instead. The next day, Mel and I went to check out that storage unit I mentioned. The facility manager was hesitant at first, but when Mel showed her marriage certificate and explained the situation, she let us in. Inside, we found camping gear, 2 duffel bags with clothes, about $2,000 in cash, and a folder with documents, fake IDs with James and Emma's pictures but different names, and printouts of rental listings in another state. They were literally planning to run away together after killing me. The most disturbing thing, though, a notebook with Emma's handwriting detailing different accident scenarios with pros and cons listed for each. Car crash, drowning, house fire, hiking accident, all with little notes about insurance payouts and how to avoid suspicion. The earliest entry was dated almost a year ago. This wasn't some impulse thing. She'd been planning this shit for months. I took pictures of everything and left everything else there. Figured it might be evidence the police would want intact. Mel took the cash, though, said James owed her at least that much for destroying their marriage. Speaking of James, he's in full panic mode now. He showed up at my parents' house yesterday when I wasn't there. My dad answered the door with his old baseball bat in hand. He played college ball and still keeps it by the door. James started rambling about how this was all a big misunderstanding, and that Emma had manipulated him too. Said she'd convinced him I was abusive and that helping her was actually saving her. My dad told him to get the fuck off his property before he called the cops. James got right in my dad's face and said nobody was going to believe me anyway, that it would be his and Emma's word against mine. My dad, who is normally the calmest guy ever, completely lost it. He shoved James so hard he fell backward down the porch steps. Told him if he ever came near our family again, he'd regret it. James scrambled to his car and peeled out. I finally went to the police yesterday, showed them the recordings, the notebook photos, everything. They took it all really seriously, especially when I mentioned the fake IDs in the storage unit. The detective I spoke with said they'd bring both Emma and James in for questioning. That same afternoon, I got a call from Emma's boss at the marketing agency where she works. Apparently, Emma told everyone at her office that I was having a mental breakdown and making up crazy accusations because I couldn't handle that she wanted a divorce. Her boss was calling to check on me and see if I needed help. I played the recordings for her too. Dead silence on the phone. Then she just said, "I'll take care of this," and hung up. An hour later, Emma was blowing up my phone again. Her boss had called her into a meeting and fired her on the spot. Company policy about integrity or something. So now she's unemployed, her parents aren't speaking to her, and she's freaking out about how she's going to pay the mortgage. Not my problem. The funniest part? James and Emma are now turning on each other. Mel showed me texts from James saying Emma was the mastermind, that she'd seduced him and convinced him I was this awful person who deserved what was coming. Meanwhile, Emma's been telling people James pressured her into the whole thing, that she was scared of him and went along with it out of fear. This morning, I got an email from Emma's mom asking if we could meet. Said there were things about Emma's past and mental health I should know. Tim had already spilled most of it, but I agreed to meet her tomorrow anyway. Might help with the divorce proceedings. I also got a notification from our home security system that someone had tried to access the account settings. Had to be Emma trying to delete footage or something. Joke's on her, though. I'd already downloaded everything and changed all the passwords. The restraining order against both of them should be approved by end of week. My lawyer thinks with all the evidence we have, the divorce will go through quickly. He's also pushing me to press charges, which I'm seriously considering now. I still wake up in the middle of the night sometimes thinking about how close I came to drinking that tea. How if that meeting hadn't been canceled, I might not be here right now. It's fucked up, but I'm not going to let them get away with this. Not by a long shot. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a financial advisor friend to talk about how to really twist the knife on both of them without breaking any laws. Emma's already freaking out about money. Wait until she sees what happens next. Final update. Been about a month since my last update. Sorry it took so long, but things have been wild. Just got back from a solo trip to Colorado to clear my head and figured I should finally fill you guys in on what happened. So I met with Emma's mom like I mentioned in my last post. That conversation was rough. Apparently, Emma's issues started way earlier than what Tim told me. When she was only 8, she tried to push her cousin down the stairs at a family reunion because the girl got more attention than her. Her parents put her in therapy, but kept switching therapists whenever one got too concerned about her behavior. Her mom broke down crying, saying they should have gotten her more serious help when she was younger instead of just covering everything up. They were so afraid of their daughter being labeled as disturbed that they enabled her for years. She apologized like 50 times, saying she never thought Emma would go this far. The police investigation kicked into high gear after I showed them everything. They brought James in first and he immediately tried to cut a deal. Claimed Emma was the mastermind and he was just a stupid guy thinking with the wrong head. The detective told me James offered to wear a wire to get Emma to admit everything on tape. But here's where it gets good. They didn't even need it. When they questioned Emma, she completely fell apart. Started ranting about how I deserved it because I was holding her back. Said I was too content with our life and refused to take risks that would let us live to our potential. Basically, I wasn't ambitious enough for her, and she wanted the insurance money to start some business with James. She actually admitted all this to the police. My lawyer called it a prosecutor's dream case. They were both charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Emma got hit with additional charges for the fake suicide attempt, filing a false police report. Their court dates are set for next month, and my lawyer says with the evidence we have, they're both looking at serious time. But I didn't just sit back and wait for the legal system. Remember when I said I was meeting with a financial advisor? Well, we went through everything. Turns out Emma had been siphoning money from our joint accounts for months into a separate account I didn't know about. My advisor friend helped me track it all and document it for the divorce proceedings. The divorce is moving quickly given the circumstances. The judge was not sympathetic to Emma at all. She tried to claim she deserved half of everything, including my retirement accounts. The judge literally laughed when my lawyer presented the murder plot evidence. She's getting nothing except her personal belongings. The house was the tricky part since we co-owned it, but I found a solution. I'm buying her out for way below market value. The judge approved it given the circumstances. And Emma can't argue because she needs money for her legal defense. Her fancy lawyer dropped her when she couldn't pay his retainer, and now she's stuck with an overworked public defender. James isn't doing any better. Mel filed for divorce immediately and got a temporary order giving her control of all their accounts. She found out he'd been planning this with Emma for over a year. The Audi? Already sold. The storage unit? Emptied, and the contents turned over to the police as evidence. She even got their dog, which James apparently loved more than anything. The neighborhood found out what happened after someone from Emma's parents' church overheard them talking about it. Now, both Emma and James are basically community pariahs. Emma tried to go to our favorite coffee shop last week and the owner asked her to leave, said they don't serve people who try to murder their spouses. Emma's parents have been surprisingly decent through all this. They're selling their vacation cabin to pay for Emma's legal fees, but they've also checked in on me several times. Her dad even helped me move some furniture out of the house. He looked about 10 years older than the last time I saw him, said he'll always consider me family, regardless of what happens with Emma. The most satisfying part? Emma's been trying to get another job, but it turns out when you Google her name now, the first results are local articles about the murder plot. Nobody wants to hire her. She had to move back in with her parents because she can't afford rent anywhere. James tried to flee to Canada last week, got caught at the border because the police had flagged his passport. Now he's in custody with no bail. His parents, who live in Florida, won't even take his calls. I moved back into our house after changing all the locks and installing a better security system. It felt weird at first, but I've been repainting and rearranging furniture to make it feel different. Threw out our old mattress and bed frame. Couldn't stand looking at them knowing what she'd been planning in that room. My parents have been my rock through all of this. My mom comes over almost every day with food or just to sit with me. My dad and I have been rebuilding his old motorcycle on weekends, something we used to do when I was in high school. It's been good to keep my hands busy. Got a promotion at work too. My boss said he was impressed with how I handled everything without letting it affect my performance. The raise came at the perfect time since I'm now covering the whole mortgage myself. Emma called from her parents' house last night. I almost didn't pick up, but figured what the hell. She sounded terrible. Said she knows she can never make things right, but wanted me to know that she regrets what she did. Not just getting caught. Actually, regrets planning to hurt me. Said the therapist she's seeing now has her on new medication and she's seeing things clearly for the first time. I just listened. Didn't say much. When she finished, I told her I hope she gets the help she needs, but that I never want to speak to her again after the legal proceedings are done. Then I hung up. Didn't yell, didn't curse, just said it calmly and ended the call. It felt good. Better than any revenge I could have planned. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm completely over it. I still have nightmares sometimes. Still check my rearview mirror more than I used to. Still can't drink tea without thinking about what almost happened. But I'm getting better. My buddy Chris set me up with his rock climbing, and I've been going twice a week. It's how I met Emma originally, but I'm not letting her take that away from me too. Met some cool people there, nothing romantic yet, but it's nice just to have new friends who don't know all this baggage. The other day I was cleaning out the garage and found Emma's old hiking boots. For a second I thought about keeping them, to remind myself never to be so blind again. But then, I just threw them in the trash. Don't need that kind of reminder in my life, so that's where things stand. Emma and James are facing serious prison time. They've lost their jobs, homes, relationships, and reputations. I'm slowly rebuilding my life. Not sure what happens next, but for the first time in months, I'm actually looking forward to finding out. Thanks for all the support and advice, Reddit. Never thought I'd be posting about my wife trying to murder me, but here we are. Life is fucking weird sometimes.